Hey, it's Ben the Coin Geek, and today we are breaking all the rules and we're going to teach you about dipping and just what dipping is when people talk about cleaning coins. Dipping is something that comes up often. This is a product that's often used. It's actually called a coin cleaner. A lot of coin shops will carry this, and they run, about $10 to $12 depending where you live. It is something that is a clear blue liquid. It's designed to take toning off of coins. It's really designed to remove fingerprints and stuff from a proof coin. Like this, you see that fingerprint, and there's a bunch of haze to it. Now, before we get started, I want to mention that what I'm doing here is not 100% how I would dip coins. I would use running water in a faucet. This is a chemical, so you do want to be careful about everything that you're dealing with. I am just using a wash basin here because it's more convenient to make a video this way. All right, so we got a bunch of examples of coins that are toned. Now, if you want to learn how to dip, practice on inexpensive coins, go to your local coin shop or coin show, find some modern proof coins that are hazy, and that is something that is pretty easy to find nowadays. The process is actually really simple. You literally dip the coin in the jewel luster, and then you can already see that stuff is off. And then you want to rinse it off really well in water, which is what I'm doing. I have a basin. And step 3 is you want to make sure you dry it really, really well. The drying part is very important. If you don't dry the coin off really well, you will end up with all kinds of spots on them. The spots might not show up at first, but here's an example of a Morgan dollar that did not get dried off properly, and you see that spot right on her cheek that looks an awful lot like Australia. That's from having not been dried off properly. So I don't necessarily recommend you start on expensive coins, but I do recommend that you try it out with some of your more common coins, or just get some inexpensive coins to see how they dip out. So this Ike we're going to take a quick look at, and I'll show you just how effective it is. I'm just going to dip it halfway in, and you can see the line right there. That looks just like that NGC website advertisement where they show the before and the after for their conservation. Of course, conservation is just another term for cleaning. And so NGC and PCGS both clean coins with their conservation process now. Also, you'll notice on some NGC and PCGS labels it'll say improperly cleaned, which will give you the idea that it can be properly cleaned. So now we're going to try a couple of heavier coins. This is the experimental phase, right? So this coin was in an old album, and it is extremely heavy, black and dark. So my prediction is that this is going to turn to like a light gray, and it's not going to dip well. But we're going to give it a go, and you'll see it's just taken some of that outer coating off. We're going to rinse it off in the water, and we're going to get it really dry so you can see what it looks like. And you'll see anytime you have really thick, heavy toning, see, it took off the outer haze, but it kept that dark color. So it is better looking this way, but it's probably not what someone was thinking about. If they wanted to take the toning off, they probably wanted it all the way off. I'm not sure the chemicals that PCGS and NGC use, but I think that a coin like this, they could actually get back to blast white because there aren't any really heavy spots. It's all just old toning. Now we're going to go the route of taking a Morgan dollar, once again with a lot of haze to it, and it's got some of that really pretty peripheral toning. When you're dipping always look past the toning and see what's underneath. If it's a nice original looking coin, if it looks like there's been cleaning or spots. And you can see there's a couple spots right in front of her face that'll pop out once this is dipped. But we're going to go ahead and dip it anyway. And we're going to rinse it off. So the heavier toning spots are going to stay if you just do a light dip. In other words, you'll notice that the coin now is much brighter, and you can see those spots popping in front of her face a lot easier, but it still kept some of the toning around the edge. So this is something that's often misunderstood. People think if you dip a coin, all of the luster will always disappear. It really depends on how heavy the toning is, and what type of chemicals it's been in contact with, and how long it's been in contact with them. So many toned coins have been in albums for a very long time. The fun stuff to do is just that modern proof stuff, because it works so well. You know, the coin will be really nice and clean, and you'll see the haze over there around the coin. So it's very satisfying to be able to remove the haze. Now, this is a learned skill. You do practice it over time, and it will change with time. I'm sure there'll be new products over time that come out. There are dealers out there that are magicians. I'm not claiming to be one of them. I'm just showing you the very basic concept of what dipping actually is, because we get that question a lot. You can see right where my finger was. It left a fingerprint above the trust. And that's one of those things you got to be careful for. That's why you dry them off really well, to try to get that to not stay there. So the rinsing and drying part is really important. All right, we'll do one more. We got this old Morgan here that's got nice luster to it. The toning, the toning is not as nice as it looks on the video. The coin looks very dark and black. It just when you look at it. But we'll go ahead and dip this guy too. Another thing to do is actually manipulate the surface a little bit with your fingers. By the way, the odor from these is not pleasant. It smells like rotten eggs. It is a chemical reaction. And you can actually see some of the dirt being lifted off right there. See that? That's all the toning coming to the surface and rinsing off of that coin. And of course, we'll rinse it off in water really well and dry it off really well. That is what dipping looks like when it's done. And the keys are to practice on cheap coins that you have and get used to the process. And also, always rinse them off extremely well under running water, and always dry them off really well. Well, this has been Ben the Coin Geek. Subscribe to my videos. We're going to keep putting up more lessons on some of the different things that go on in the coin marketplace and the coin hobby. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please subscribe.